Hey, sad day, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to do an album review on one of the albums released in 2019, and that would be the new FKA Twigs album, Magdalene. Or Magdalene. Magdalene, yeah. So, FK Twigs is an alternative R&B singer-songwriter from UK, and I've actually talked about her previous studio album LP1 before and gave it a really positive review, and I liked that album a lot. Tracks like 2 Weeks, Lights Off, Video Girl are my favorite, and then afterwards she dropped an EP called Melissa, which is equally as awesome, and the album cover is one of the bests of the decade. And then this year she dropped this album, Magdalene. And let's talk about the album cover first. It honestly looks disgusting, but I know it's intended to be disgusting. What the anyway, on this album, while it's not really that different from all her previous material, it's still some very glitchy, artsy, somewhat abstract R&B slash pop fusion. Twigs sort of move towards a more mainstream direction, like slightly more mainstream on this LP, and also the Venezuelan producer Arca is not producing for this album, so we're expecting less eccentric production. But still, nonetheless, I think the songwriting on this album is totally solid, even when the instrumentals and the beats aren't as great or as fantastic or as artsy as some of the instrumentations from LP1. I still think the lyrics and the vocals totally shine through. So the album starts off with Thousand Eyes, which is a song about being watched all the time, because being a celebrity, everybody watches you, and you basically don't have a private life anymore. And, following the breakup with Robert Pattinson, I know it's a long time ago, of course there's a lot of buzz around the whole issue, and it's giving both sides a lot of paranoia, and it really sucks. And as an album opener, it actually works pretty well because it's really mystical and shy. I love the very bare bones intro of the track, which then lies on a bed of really distorted and mysterious instrumentals, which then swells at the end. Totally cool. And then we have the second track, Home With You, which I'm totally not a fan of in the beginning when I first heard the track because of its very awkward and heavy vocal processing and the weird multifaceted structure, which leaves this song kinda structureless in a sense. However, I must agree that the pianos on the song is really sad and clear, gives off almost a Radiohead vibe, which is really amazing. As far as the processed, distorted vocals go, while I'm not a huge fan of it, at least it does add a little bit of personality to the track. And whenever Twigs switch from the processed vocals to her natural voice, it gets way better, very angelic, very heavenly. And again, the song, it's multifaceted. It has different parts and different stages. I'm not too huge on the first part, but I do kind of like the second and third part. The swell of woodwinds towards the end of the track is very amazing. Okay, Anthony Fantano just dropped a little peep album review. Anyway, let's get back to FK Twigs here. There are some very distorted moments on the album and on the track Home With You here and there, and I totally don't mind that at all. Moving over to the third track, Sad Day, and it's amazing. It's an amazing track. This track, it's gorgeous, it's catchy, and yes, it's very abstract and glitchy, but it's also very firm, unlike a lot of the more artsier, more abstract Twigs tracks. And it's more pop than it is R&B, and it is, again, incredibly catchy. If you make a wish on my love, oh, it's really awesome, and I really love the Kate Bush influences on the track as well. There are also all sorts of glitchy distorted, twittery percussion throughout the entire track, and it's just very flavorful. And how the hard, rigid beats sort of work against the softness and the tenderness of Twigs' vocals, it just goes together really well. And then we have the track Holy Terrain featuring Future. For some reason, I'm not a huge fan of the track. Again, the first time I listened to it, I didn't like it. And still, right now, I'm not a huge fan of it either. It just feels like a really awkward attempt at trying to make something mainstream, because trap rap is all the rage now, so Twigs have to also make a trap rap song now, trying to fuse the trap beats with her usual glitchy, artsy R&B style, and it just feels kind of awkward and a mild attempt at trap R&B, Trap and B. And Future's performance, as always, really average, kind of generic, nothing all that special. The instrumentals are just okay, and while I really love Twigs' vocal performances, they're as always very powerful, very angelic, the melodies are sort of muddled together, not in a good way, kind of underwhelming. We have the track Mary Magdalene with its very Laurie Anderson inspired intro with its very dry vocal processing, but later on it builds up to something beautiful and compelling and engaging once again. Using history and using Mary Magdalene, FKA Twigs talks about the perception of woman and the nature of woman, and the lyrics are really well written, I have to admit. Also, I really love the psychedelic vocal effects and the sort of Björky IDM instrumentals of the track. We have the track Fallen Alien, which is a total friggin' banger, super underrated, love it, such a gem in the track list. It's a very powerful and engaging song that sounds very sinister and dramatic. We get these very bright, chopped up choir vocals, which reminds me a lot of Kanye West's production for some reason, and at the same time we get all sorts of bassy, boomy beats that hits really hard and goes wild. And what's even more wild is Twigs' vocals. It's just so freaky. Sometimes she's shouting very dramatically, and then sometimes she's even shrieking. It's very freaky. There are also these walls of noises that are super loud and distorted, and it just makes the track super enjoyable. And throughout the whole track, it's very solid, very firm, not really much in terms of space, which is something that I actually kind of appreciate, and it's something that's kind of different from LP1, which is very spacey most of the time. We have the track Mirrored Heart, which is a pretty clean but also sad, bittersweet ballad. The instrumentations are kind of clunky, but given how great the lyrics and the vocals are, the clunky instrumentals actually work in the favor of the track, and overall it's a ballad that feels very moving and touching. We have the second to last track, Daybed, which is similar to Mirrored Hearts in my opinion, but maybe a little sleepier, more redundant, more repetitive. I do really like the lyrics, but the track is just very quiet and not very progressive, not very dynamic of a track. However, the album ends off on a high note. Not the most climactic ending, to be honest. I kind of wish this track would hit a more dramatic and cinematic climax, but still, I absolutely love the track itself. Cellophane, incredibly beautiful and very powerful. We get some somber, tragic pianos and these very hushed, pained vocals with Twigs repeating, "Did I do it for you?" And then we get these rising vocals, which just gets higher and higher and higher. And Twigs gives an amazing falsetto, so amazing, so heavenly. It just so high pitched, it reaches the heaven. And we also get these. The beat is very minimalist. It's basically and repeated throughout the entire track, and it just works really well. It just gives the track such a beautiful subtlety, and also the music video is gorgeous. It's beautiful. The pole dancing, it's very elegant. Yes. And overall, it's a really powerful ending to the album. So, yes, while I don't think this album is as special, as unique, or as consistent as LP1, I still like this album a lot, and I think a majority of the tracks here are actually great. And going into the album, I thought it's going to be a bad album given how some of the teaser singles are not good. But at the end of the day, I like this album. I like this album. My favorite track here is cellophane, I guess. But you know, Sad Day is great. Fallen Alien is great as well. My least favorite could be Daybed, I guess, or Holy Terrain. I don't really know. And I'm giving FK Twigs Magdalene an 8 out of 10. So, have you listened to FK Twigs from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, hate if you hate it, and subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching. Also, I heard that Coldplay will be releasing another album. I will review that ASAP once it's released. Also, I'm going to be talking about Kamasi Washington and Tim Hecker very soon. Also, stay tuned for the 2010 mini albums review where I talk about Vampire Weekend, Agalloch, potentially Ganja Sufi, quite possibly Joanna Newsom. Yes, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.